Hello and welcome to Modern Toyfare. I am your host, Mr. Modern Toyfare, and I am joined by the founder of the Neck Illuminati, the YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toyfare, Jarmar _games. But that's not all. We are also joined by the man Modern Toyfare has full custody over, the man Optimus Prime popped, and he still can't stop, the Twilight Knight, Nate. How are you guys doing this week?
Doing amazing. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone understands the Twilight Night unless you watch the live stream. But even
Exactly.
still, have no clue what it was referring to. So that's cool.
True. It's an inside joke within an inside joke. But we at least explain the inside joke over on Weekly Purchases. So go watch the video on demand version of that on twitch.tv/modern toyfare. But that's not why we're here.
Not why we're here.
We're here to.
Why are we here?
We're here because, yes, this week I get to surprise you guys with a topic. So we are going to discuss the Warner Brothers gun ban on action figures.
Oh, okay.
This shouldn't go horribly wrong.
Well, I saw someone else do like a video specifically about Mcfarlane. I'm like, you know what? Why haven't we talked? We've like briefly talked about it during like some other videos, but we've never really like discussed it like too much. So I went through just to see if there was anything that I didn't already like know based off speculation, because there's been zero communication directly from Warner Brothers saying
Sure.
XYZ, this, that, or the other. It's all been just word of mouth from people who work for the companies and what they're claiming is happening, or people like Mez saying, look, this is I can't say directly, but this is what's happening. So just a quick rundown of the timeline, and then we'll start discussing it. So it all started, at this point, year and a half ago, roughly, we'll say, because it was the first year of the pandemic, I think, because it was right around when Mcfarlane was doing like the exclusive Thomas Wayne Batman, because that was one of the last few waves that he got out with it before things got too much. So it started where only the retail toys and like lower end figures were a part of it. High-end figures were still allowed to have them, they just couldn't advertise with it. So companies like Mezco, like literally as it was happening, Mezco was releasing their exclusive Darkest Dawn Batman, so they had to black out his sonic cannon and his grappling gun, which doesn't make sense, but we'll get to that. Prime One Studios did their Grim Knight statue. They had to blur out his like giant plethora of guns that you would attach to it. So like it was enough to where, if you were a high quality company that didn't do things at retail where kids could get it, they didn't care. You look, you have a question.
Which one was that one?
The Prime One? Or
Yeah.
Prime One was the Grim Knight. It was the from the Batman Who Laughs story arc where he pulled out the Punisher Batman with like the silver emblem and the neckerchief, and he had like 1,000 guns on his back.
So that figure didn't come out with guns?
It did, but in the marketing, they blurred them out. So that way...
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
so
I wanted to
it
make
did-
sure I understood.
Yeah, the high-end companies were, at the time, were still allowed to go in and have guns. They just couldn't advertise them with them. So Mezco just blacked them out on their like product pages, and other companies just blurred them out. Since then, it's changed a lot because McFarlane still tried to push the envelope as long as he could, because he had his own Grim Knight and a few other figures that squeaked by. But now it's zero. None of them have guns. And it's gone to the point where Mafex, Mezco, Figure Arts, Hot Toys, Prime One, no one who's got the DC license supposedly is allowed to have guns with them, no matter the price point, which is absurd. And it's to the point where with Mezco, it's shelved some figures indefinitely. Like Mr. Freeze just had his 2-year anniversary since going up for pre-order because he has a freeze gun. And I have to assume it's going to be the same with Constantine, because while Mezco tweeted that he'd come with his cigarettes and gun that they advertised him with and then had to remove, we haven't heard anything since. And things have gotten a lot tighter since then. And then Mafex just pretty much took the guns out and was like, sorry guys, you get one less accessory and you pay in the same price. Not our fault. Because they had, let's see, the last DC figure I remember that had it was Hush, came with 2 guns. And then after that, Joker came out and he was supposed to have a bang gun. Didn't have that, just had his sad little knife. And then recently, the armored Dark Knight Returns Batman was supposed to have his sonic cannon. They took that out, even though it doesn't even look like a gun. And there's no like replacements or anything. It's just like, well, we were already in production, so we just nixed it and called it a day. So I figured something that, you know, it's a kind of a big deal to the point where there's even a change.org petition for Warner Brothers to put guns back with their figures. So I just kind of wanted to see how you guys feel about all of it.
Well, you want to start, Jarmar? Do you want?
I mean, my piece is although I feel like it's a goodwill gesture to try and reduce like the popularity of weapons in our country. In all seriousness, it seems like the worst attempt at it. In a sense of like, there is so many other things that are more impactful. Like, I mean, we all three of us grew up with toys, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I had way further realistic things like guns that I guess at this point in my life I should probably be obsessed with guns, but I don't own one myself.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like because the action figure comes with the gun that they're promoting gun violence or anything like that. It's just odd because they're fictional characters who are based on mediums or media. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. Based on media other places. So like, they're gonna have guns there. So
yeah, comics, movies, TV shows all still have guns. There's no ban there, just on toys.
It just seems like an odd thing, but and also it's a little bit more of a deeper, I guess like a deeper thought in the sense of what they categorize for kids. Because at this point now, are you suggesting that these collector figures are for kids when they're hundreds of dollars, or, you know, in certain cases like Mafex? It's just weird. It's overall just weird. It's like, hey, we're trying to help, but you're not really helping at all. So I don't know. It's sad. I mean, there's more, but I'll keep the conversation going.
Well, it's especially weird too because I mean, going off that point, you know, two really glaring omissions were, and I don't remember the character's name in the Suicide Squad, but Idris Elba.
Oh, yeah.
Bloodsport. Okay, I thought it was Bloodsport, and I was like, no, that was what the other guy played.
Yeah,
that was Deadshot. Okay, that was Will Smith guy because they were very similar.
Oh yeah, he was 100% a replacement because they because I don't think Will Smith wanted to come back or he was busy or something. So that's when they're like, okay, let's have a different character. And...
yeah. So Deadshot and Peacemaker both
Bloodsport
are armed characters.
We confused you because we started talking about Deadshot. Bloodsport is in the new one. With
Bloodsport. Okay.
Deadshot also had a gun though.
Yes, but he hasn't had a figure since Mattel still had the line.
True.
So
yes, and he came with a dumb gun.
But that was really just Mattel in general, so that's not.
Yeah. So like, okay, and those didn't come with figures that were blazoned with the Suicide Squad logo. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, it's a PG-13 rated movie. It's very prevalent in the movie. It's I don't know. It's very strange to me. I am not a big gun guy. I tend to lean a little bit to the left. I also, though, believe in, you know, the parts of the Second Amendment and things like that. I don't want to inflame everyone and be like, "What?
I'm out of this show."
You don't have your bare arms mounted on your wall in your living room?
I don't.
I do, but it's a polar bear.
Oh, that's an interesting turn.
Yeah.
Polar bear.
Yeah, mine's
I feel
a
like that's more fucked up that you killed a polar bear.
Yeah.
No, it's just their arms. They fall off after they die. So I just
You still killed a polar bear.
No, he died of natural causes.
Oh, he died of global warming. Okay.
Yeah.
Gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea.
It's very prevalent.
Diabetes. He lost his feet from all that Coca-Cola.
His arms.
So I think the whole thing is very strange because, like Jarmar said, like, who are we trying to protect? I mean, this is a very weird gesture because it's not like this is across the board in toy aisles. Mm-hmm. So Star Wars figures still come with guns. Yeah, they're laser guns, but they're still guns. I mean,
So deadly.
They're more
Yeah.
realistic looking than any of the fucking DC stuff that they got
Yeah.
mixed, like Mr. Freeze's freeze gun with Mezco, or the Sonic
Yeah.
cannon with the armored Batman.
Yeah, and then G.I. Joe Classified,
Oh,
they
my.
are definitely taking a step backwards from what they originally intended, and now the guns are getting more and more realistic looking for the newer figures that are coming. So they're, especially for the Joes, they're actual, real life weaponry.
Yeah.
So like those are right next to those, and the argument can be then placed. Well, those are not for kids; these are collector's items. Okay, but the stuff for kids, which you'd have to assume is the things like the Fortnite stuff, because Fortnite is generally played by kids, which is nothing but a celebration of weaponry, the game and the toys. I mean, the toys come with all the different, you have your whatever they call their hammers
Metal
or
picks
pickaxes or yes,
like
and then
that.
you've got and then they come with guns, and then you could even buy extra chests to have, you can get
More
your own
guns.
loot boxes, yeah, with more guns in it. And those are definitely, I feel, geared towards kids, especially that 4-inch line. I mean, that's definitely a very prominent thing. The game itself is very much, I don't know if it was geared towards kids. I don't know where it came from initially because I'm old. And I didn't understand Minecraft, and now it's old. And so that just shows you where I'm at. So I'm just, especially when you have characters such as Bloodsport, Peacemaker,
with the name Blood.
yeah. And then even like with like the recent Red Hood figure that came out that actually had the trigger fingers.
No,
So
trigger fingers. He had handguns. He had the finger guns. Him and Penguin both.
Yeah. So yeah, Penguin. I'm gonna have to like the movie Penguin whenever I eventually get him. He's gonna have to have a little compact machine gun in his hand because that's what he's got. So now is a perfect time for customizers and or 3D printers, people in armory, little things that want to sell those kind of things. Now is a perfect opportunity for that. I think it's weird. I've mentioned that 6 times. It's just very strangely done, especially with no official word coming out either. Everybody knows what's going on, but yet there's been no word from DC or anything like that. I even had kind of a hard time the fact that Warner Brothers wouldn't allow the Penguin to smoke in the new movie. So they're totally fine with him shooting a compact machine gun and murdering people and selling drugs or whatever. But they got to draw the line at that fancy, cigarette holder he's got,
To an extent, though, I mean, we've all seen the movie. That would not have been in character for that version.
You don't think that would have been cool?
No, maybe at the end of his HBO series, when they're doing the build up of him becoming the Penguin that we know. But he's a low level criminal, a part of the organization in this.
I still think that would have been cool because that would have been his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would, even if they made fun of him for it, I think it would have been cool. Yeah. Well. Yeah,
that's another thing. But they were like, "We're gonna have him be a drug dealer for these imaginary eye drop drugs."
Yeah, that keeps it fine. But I mean, even so, we can argue whether or not that would have been out of place for this particular version. But that was an edict that came straight from Warner Brothers, is that he's not allowed to smoke. Wolverine wasn't allowed to smoke either after a certain amount of time, and he's not allowed. He hasn't smoked a cigar in the comic book since Joe Quesada took over Marvel Comics, which that was now almost 20 some years ago. So, that's okay, or that's not okay, but depicting a character killing someone or, doing something else, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you can't release a toy of the gun. Like, it's all very.
Yeah, it would be
confusing.
Like if, we'll use Wolverine for example. If Marvel was like, all right, we just don't want our figures to have like to display violence, right?
So all of them are smiling.
Wolverine, you get a happy Logan, and he's just got fists like this.
Yeah,
because
he doesn't have.
He's not
No,
portraying
he
violence.
has to have open hands because
Oh,
fists
yes,
would
sure.
be
Fists
an
would be
act
violent,
of
yeah.
aggression.
So it is just weird. I mean, we could be just three old, grumpy toy collectors, but like, also, it just seems sort of messed up for. And I'm going into the aspect of like from McFarlane's perspective, they have essentially been extremely loyal to DC, almost because they make everything DC, and like this could be potentially hurting the lines. I mean, granted, I guess they're lucky that everyone's affected by it, but like
Right.
that's gonna turn people off from it at a
Mhm.
point. So that's affecting their money at the end of the day, which
Yeah, the only thing really saving McFarlane at this point is because he does characters that don't get a lot of love in other lines. Because most of the high end lines, you get maybe 3 to 10 characters, depending if it's a good or bad year. Usually, they're going to be more popular characters or mostly heroes, maybe 1 or 2 villains thrown in. Where he's doing a lot of, like, Red Hood does not get a lot of love across any medium. So like stuff like that, he is kind of helping him get past it. Like people are still mocking it and say it's fucking stupid, but those same people are still going to Walmart and Target trying to find the new figures. So it's one of those things where it sucks, but what are you gonna do? You can't, like, if you stop buying it, you're just missing out because someone else is gonna buy it.
Right. Or you're even potentially hurting, the future of the line
Yeah.
for the characters that, really doesn't matter if they come with a gun or not. But, it's weird too, because a lot of the characters that should have guns, like just taking it back to the comic side of it. So, characters like Deathstroke and the Joker and the Penguin and characters like that. I mean, Red Hood's like one of the only heroes that does use a gun. And I don't know, wouldn't you want, I don't know. I guess maybe I was trying to say, like, wouldn't you want your bad guys to have guns? But I mean, isn't that ultimately what you're trying to convey, is that the heroes don't need to resort to those type of weapons to be able to be triumphant? So, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I get the idea, but I don't understand the execution.
Yeah, I feel like Jarmar kind of hit it on the head. Like the fact that there must be zero marketing research, because we all had toys as a kid with guns much more realistic than they are now, and not a single one of us, became a school shooter.
Well, you can't say any one of us, because we've had not one of us.
That's what I'm saying. It's the one of us. I'm talking about the three of us.
We don't know what.
I'm not saying that. It's the same argument with video games. Like people blame video games for violence. At the end of the day, there's a lot more that goes into these incidents that happen than just oh, he played video games, or oh, he had a Raphael figure that had a pistol as a kid, or this or that.
I missed that one.
Was it? What didn't the undercover?
Oh, there's plenty of pistols.
Yeah.
Well,
Raph had a pistol?
The cowboy ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not just the standard figure, but they did so many fucking different versions of those that, like.
I mean, you wouldn't know this since you threw them all away.
That's fair.
Man,
what I'm saying, I'm thinking of like you got Raph with like an AK-47, and he's like, "It's time to fucking go, sir. Let's do this.
It's
shit.
time to shoot someone in the foot."
We've had enough.
Do you feel lucky?
Yeah.
Punk?
But yeah, like the Foot Soldiers has their, little weird looking
fucking Bebop and Rocksteady have guns.
Yeah.
I mean, they have drills.
Yeah. They got dildos. But yeah, like there's gotta be no marketing research on this, because there's nothing that like points to it. Because if there was, then we wouldn't see this going on with G.I. Joe, Marvel, Star Wars, all of that, because Hasbro would also join in on it. Like they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is bad. This has to be just some person who just happens to be the head of that department at Warner Brothers and DC, who's like, I'm just imagining like Edna from Incredibles going, no guns, like, at every meeting."
Here's something weird, and I mean it's sort of tongue in cheek, but not really. So we did find out that Mcfarlane was like the biggest toy brand, right? Is that
Yes,
what
it
we're
was. It
saying?
was
Or
the
they sold the most?
he sold the most action figures of 2021.
Right. So I know this gun ban isn't going in for a long amount of time, but do you think that like seeing how well McFarlane has been doing and it's predominantly DC, maybe Warner Brothers felt like some sort of like responsibility to like rein that in? I'm just trying to say like, give them some kind of reason of
But this
saying
was
like,
going on
oh, these are
before they got
selling a
that
lot.
award.
I know. I'm just saying. Well, if it just got the award last year, I mean, it has been on the rise, or it's been plateau for a while. Like I never even heard of that reward before. So
No one had, because no toy maker
exactly.
goes on Instagram Live and goes like, "Look, guys, look what I got!" Like
So
so.
maybe he's won the award for the past like 5 years because he's the only one who knows.
No,
It's
if he
like
won it the past 5 years, we'd know, because every year he'd go
that's
on
fair. That's fair.
Instagram
I
and
thought
tell
maybe
us.
it's like something you have to submit for and no one else is doing it.
Which
So
I just want to put it out
but
there. I make fun of Tommy McFarlane a lot, but at the end of the day, I envy that man, because he is the most child at heart human being on the face
living
of the
his life.
planet. Like he
Yeah.
fucking, like you just see the joy on his face when he's playing with these things on his Instagram Live. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just wish that life was that simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's what I thought of. Well, okay, this line is popular. These figures are popular. And we don't know if there is that Etna there that's just saying no guns, but it could be someone who was affected by gun violence
Mm-hmm.
and is in a position where they kind of are drawing the line in the sand at that point. But you have to think that it would be more thought out than just no guns. That's it. Nothing
Right.
nothing that looks like a gun, because Nerf is still
Nerf is still
very much
wildly
existing. And I
popular.
think
They're more
Nerf
dangerous than they
guns,
ever have been.
they are becoming more like guns than before when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like you used to have to pull it back, pull, and then put another one in there.
Yeah, now that
you
bitches
can
are
just let
automatic.
off like 1,000 of them at once.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? But like, it just seems, yeah. I don't know.
And I don't want to take this like too political, but my problem with that idea of like, if it is someone who's like using their trauma as, fuel for this decision, then at that point you're kind of going against the whole idea of freedom from either side of the aisle. Because
Yeah.
think about it, there's all this like talk of like, oh, you shouldn't be able to tell people what to do with their body from both sides, this and that. So at that point, like, we're just getting more and more into that like, oh, my way or the highway bullshit,
Yeah.
which shouldn't be a thing. Like it sucks that this happens, but at the end of the day, the toys aren't what caused it.
Right.
Like like there's even like, again, back to the video games, they've been complaining about this for decades, saying video games cause violence, and there's no evidence of it. So it's ridiculous. I think my biggest problem is like, if they want to do a ban on realistic guns, fine,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that line in the sand. But when we get to the point where we have the sonic cannon, the freeze guns, like the fucking grappling hook, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
because
You're
it's
taking
gun-like,
Batman's grappling hook.
like those are things that, like, yeah, they are shaped like a gun, but they don't resemble anything of a modern realistic gun to justify it, especially when fucking Marvel Legends are sitting there with like realistic pistols in every wave.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's what I don't really get either, because Marvel's got some big properties, or I mean, Hasbro, they have
They have two of the biggest ones.
right.
well,
with Marvel and
I
Star
was
Wars.
thinking you were saying character, but yeah, Marvel and Star Wars. I don't want to like move the conversation, but like, what do you think they could do to circumvent this outside of just going to like 3D printing modders and stuff like that, customizers? And what do you think would be cool to see? Because personally, I only selfishly turn this conversation this direction just because I want to say that it would be awesome if they had like I'll just use like a Joker for example, with bananas instead of guns. Just to be
So
like,
instead of the
sort of
finger
like,
guns, like he has a banana.
he's holding bananas. Like, it's just because anything you hold like this could be considered a
Mhm.
gun. So like, he's holding two staplers or something. Like it'd be pretty funny. But like in all seriousness, what do you think the toy companies could do to like get around this?
I
Like,
honestly think it's going to go to the route that Mezco's taken, which has pissed off a lot of collectors because it makes things more expensive because they're still paying the same amount of money for the figure and then they spend more after. Every big DC um, figure that they've announced that comes with anything like the grappling hooks or guns or anything like that, they've announced the figure for pre-order, and the figure is still full price, and you get some other accessories to kind of make up the difference, but you're still getting less of what you were supposed to. And then they have an accessory pack that's usually about $35 that has all of those things that were banned that are just under the Slugfest moniker, so there's no licensing issues of DC. Um, and I honestly am surprised Mcfarlane hasn't gone that route yet.
Yeah, that was
He
going to be my thought too.
he
Like
could, he
some
could do it
sort of
under the Spawn
accessory pack.
series or something, or
Yep,
even make up a accessory like line that he does.
yep, yep. He could be do like I don't even know,
Carlin weapons.
with a Z
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
that's
I'm shocked that he hasn't done that because that would make
McFarlane
perfect
Armory.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, we just solved it. We just solved it. We solved Todd. You're welcome.
We solved it for Todd. We have a lot of other companies to figure it out for though.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's a creative. I think that's probably the most creative way.
Mhm.
I don't know about the fact that the figures aren't lowering in price.
Mhm.
However,
Nothing's lower in.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
now they're
so I was
raising the
gonna
price
say
in general,
nothing.
but I think it's the idea of that
Yeah.
like you're having to pay an extra $35 you normally wouldn't have to get those accessories.
yeah,
Sure.
and
But,
just say, hey,
I mean,
it's
it's-
the Warner Brother tax.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's that or nothing. So, I do think companies like Valaverse with their armories that they've created, are gonna potentially make out like a bandit in situations like this
They
because I know
already
I've ordered a bunch just to have as extra. I ordered them initially as GI Joe, but then they kind of fix themselves. So I mean, who knows what I'll end up using them for?
But they already have, because realistically, I was looking at them because I was like, I need some random bad guys for like photos and stuff to like have some army builders. So I saw some of those, and there was the scarabs, like they're like these big yellow and black like armored dudes with like these like cool like mesh like energy helmets and shit. Well, Big Bad Toy Store was sold out like instantly before the pre-orders even like shipped, and I got lucky. Dorkside had them in stock and shipping, but they only let me order two. So I was like, okay, well maybe once that ships, I can order another two. Within an hour or two of me ordering those two, they were sold out again.
Wow.
So like all that stuff's selling out quick because one, I mean, I love, as someone who's an accessory whore, I get a lot of custom like stuff in, like my Hush Joker. I got the custom bang pistol that was supposed to come with it from someone on there, but it's significantly cheaper to buy it from a place like Valorverse than it is to get a custom done, because that one custom cost me like, after shipping, like $20 compared to the Valorverse. That's the entire pack. So
Right.
It's just one of those things that I'm curious to see what company comes, steps up and is like, will be that company that supplies you with your weapons needs going forward. Another thing I'm kind of curious about is, here in a few days, Discovery is going to be holding their board meeting to discuss if they're going to try to purchase or merge with Warner Brothers. Do we think that, because obviously that if that happens, all the people at Warner Brothers, their jobs are going to be subject to change. Do we think that has any effect on it going forward? Because Discovery isn't going to be like, oh, we like no guns, like they're,
I would only say it just depends, since there is no official stance on it.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be one of those things that are like, well, it's already in motion. They don't really change anything, Like they're just like, well, whatever they're doing, keep letting them do what they're doing over there, and then we still continue with it. And then Change.org has enough petitions, and they're like, oh, that's happening, like
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't have my hopes up for it.
Well, I here's my thing though, is say they replace whoever's in charge of the licensing
Yeah.
for the toys now, and it's someone else who gets brought in. I almost guarantee people like Mez and Todd are going to state their case, like, hey, this is going to hurt business because these characters are known for having weapons, specifically guns or gun adjacent weapons. Can we go back to the way things were? Because Mez especially, that Mr. Freeze is just kind of stuck in the water because they've already solicited it. They've already taken money for the pre-orders. Like, there's nothing really, because if they go through and change, I mean, yeah, all of the solicitations say, not final product, but if they ship that figure with no accessories for $80,
Yeah.
people are going to fucking lose it, and they're going to have a lot bigger problems at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't understand a Mr. Freeze without a freeze ray. I mean, that
He's just freezing because he's cold.
everybody chill.
Oh god, that's the one shining moment in that movie is fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
I mean, we have different definitions of shining, but yeah.
He was fun and he was quotable, and that was enough for me to like. I'm not forgiving that movie, but that was enough for me to at least be like, okay, there's something watchable in that movie, and that is Mr. Freeze.
Hey, everybody this weekend especially was quick to, because I mean, we all saw the Batman, we all really enjoyed it. But I noticed a lot of people online were quick to want to put the other ones down to praise this one, and I just wasn't here for that. Like, I saw a couple people like, "Oh, this just makes the Dark Knight look so stupid," and I'm like, "No, it's awesome too. Like, we get all these awesome Batman movies. Even the worst one, which is Batman and Robin, its failure, led to Batman Begins.
Yeah.
So, all of them have led us to this point. So,
and
there's
that,
something
like,
positive there in all of them.
I'm just like, I can understand being like, this one's better than Dark Knight. Like that would make sense. But to say like, oh, Dark Knight now is shit because of it.
Yeah.
Like that's not how things work. Like,
no.
Just because something comes out that's better than something doesn't make that other thing you liked before dog shit now.
It's fair.
Yeah.
They took out scenes from the Dark Knight now that this movie came out, so they made they went back and re-edited the Dark Knight.
Oh, so you lose all of that Heath Ledger Joker. It's literally just Batman yelling at an empty room. Where is she?
They took all the
Carrot
CGI. No, Carrot Top.
Oh my god.
Carrot Top's definitely. Oh no. You know what? Yeah, we'll take that.
How terrifying would it be to have a jacked Joker?
I mean,
have we ever seen a really big?
I mean, Jared Leto was close.
I mean, Jared Leto was ripped. I'm talking jacked.
Talking
like Carrot Top is fucking big, man. Like, that dude walks around and his fucking hands don't touch his sides.
No.
You want The Rock as the Joker.
Oh my god.
I feel like age-wise, well, no, he's older. But I'd say Mickey Rourke. Is that his name? Is it
like
dude?
in his prime, maybe? Like,
yeah, he's older.
Yeah.
Now, right?
Yeah.
But I just think I could see him being, especially with the accent that he had in one of those Iron Man movies, the one with the race car.
2.
2, yeah.
So I'm gonna give you this. Rock can't play Joker. That has to be clearly
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
No. The Rock as Joker, Kevin Hart as Batman.
Oh
there you
my
go.
God. I would.
I'd watch that movie. Sadly,
heartbeat.
We kind of are getting that, right?
Well,
no,
Kevin Hart is Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah.
And The Rock is Crypto the Superdog.
Superdog, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves is Batman.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking it's why everyone was like, Keanu Reeves is the new Batman. I'm like, what? I'm like, they aren't recasting him already, are they? And then I was like, oh, he's in that weird Pets movie. Okay, that makes way more sense now.
That's fair.
Now I'm just curious to see Bruce Wayne with his stoner voice.
Yeah, I was just curious if that Batman will get guns, lots of guns. That was
full circle.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Guns. You mean lots of guns. No, this was pre-John Wick.
Oh,
When
okay.
they
No,
did
yeah,
the, he went back and he was like, they're like, what
it's
you
in the
need?
Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were in the white area, and he's like, guns, lots of guns.
Okay. Because I
He
remember
might
that in
even
John
say
Wick, but
John Wick,
I'm
I
sure he
but-
I'm sure he said guns. In
he
John Wick.
he says that exact line in John Wick. That's why I was confused. I'm like, no, that's John
That's
Wick.
maybe even funnier.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I have not watched any of the Matrix movies in probably a decade.
Yeah.
So I don't recall any lines in those movies. I just
Very
remember
sad.
some cool kung fu fights, some really terrible PS2 CGI with a bunch of clones of the same dude.
Hey, take that back. It wasn't PS2 CGI back when it came out.
It was.
It is
It
now.
was rough.
It
Well,
is
yeah, when
now.
it came out, well, even PS2 graphics looked great when they came out.
Right, that's my point. But yeah,
man. But yeah, Nate, I agree. I saw people over the weekend start like bashing on the Dark Knight and stuff. I'm like, why? Like, why does it have to be a contest? Why can't it just be like, man, this movie made me rock hard. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they want to throw the Marvel DC things. Like, I just like it all. Well, I don't like it all. I'm happy when I get to like it all.
You better
and
be
the
careful. You're
Batman
gonna trigger someone who had that or tried to have that conversation in our Discord.
no, I didn't. I just said that you can compare them now. Like you can compare them. Like that movie was on the level of a Marvel movie, and what I mean by that, as far as like what people expect from a Marvel movie. When people go to a Marvel movie, they expect it to be like top notch, amazing, right?
Yeah.
Just because we typically get that. With DC, it hasn't been that way. Even though I am a huge fan of all of the movies that have come out, I am not the person that's saying that. But what I'm saying is this one here, you can easily say this movie quality-wise would put you on the level of Marvel in the sense of the following movie would merit that kind of like expectation. That's what I mean. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by comparing them.
I'm just gonna say, sure.
Oh, that's no fun. I could see it on your face that you just wanted to say something the entire time.
You can't argue it. That's just saying that it's finally of a really good quality that no matter who you're a fan of, it's a good movie. That's how I see it.
We could get into semantics with that only just because there's almost like a Marvel house style, each movie, with the exception of the Eternals, and I think that's what bothered people so much. Most of them are a particular formula. There's jokes, there's action, there's lots of fun to be had. It's a great time. Whereas the Batman, is different. It's a different kind of movie. There's not a lot of jokes. I did laugh a couple times.
Oh my god!
Like,
when he would just like fucking blank face. Blank face start delivering like jokes and shit. I was just like, I love it. Like,
yeah, but yeah, that would be the only thing I could push back on because they're different kinds of movies. But I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think DC has gotten there yet as far as DC films. They've had a couple of just out of the parks. I mean, the Batman. I don't know if I've said this before. I'm going to say it now. I've not seen Joker.
Joker is a great movie, but it definitely feels like a movie that just has a Joker face paint on it.
That's kind of, yeah. But then you have Wonder Woman, you have Aquaman, which is very good. I personally, the Snyderverse is not for me, which is okay. I don't care for it, but that's fine. I'm not saying they're bad. They're well-made movies. They're not for me. I still haven't seen Justice League at this point. I'm still not going to.
Fucking Snyder cut. Nate, you're killing me.
I don't like Man of Steel. I don't like Batman v Superman. Yeah, doorbell rings. You open it up. You get punched in the face. 6 months later, doorbell rings. You open it. You get punched in the face. Third time that doorbell rings, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I don't care what you're saying from the other side. I'm not going to open the door. I'm just not. I'm not. It's not getting punched in the face.
It's Amazon at the door. It's not. You're going to
But
open it up. There's going to be a nice little package.
But again, to reiterate though, I don't begrudge anybody who does like it. I don't think that's. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that movie got finished and people got to see it and got what was sort of began,
Not
sort of got a
finished.
payoff,
We need
kind of
more.
not really.
Need
But
more.
I think the idea that DC is now taking to not try to copy Marvel, I think that's what led to their little bit of their stumbling. To tell great stories in whatever universe that they want to, that's definitely the better option. I'd rather see stuff like, Joker come out that takes place disconnected from everything. The Batman, which is going to be different than the Flash or Batgirl or something like that. I'm totally fine with that. I'm smart enough to figure out that not all of these need to be connected. They can be if they want to be, but it shouldn't be like an edict that comes passed down through. That's because that's where Marvel does get into a little bit of trouble sometimes, is that they have to include certain cameos or they have to set up certain things. I mean, especially early on, like especially or I guess I should say, like, I don't know if it was phase 2 or what, but like Iron Man 2, that was phase 1, but that set up the Avengers and it was kind of bad in that aspect. You had, Age of Ultron, which set up everything that was to come, which, left it as a movie on its own, kind of bad. Endgame and Infinity War are different. Stuff that happened in previous movies led to this, but it was about finishing that story, and that was much better. But I'm rambling, and this really isn't about toys or guns. But guns. Lots of guns.
I mean, I get it. I guess my only problem with the whole DC going a different direction and not being so focused on it is it's been how long, like what, 3-ish decades that they've been doing these superhero movies, and we finally get to a point where like all of our toys get to play together, and then they don't. And it's just like,
well, maybe they shouldn't have let Zack Snyder fuck with it. I'm just saying.
Don't maybe fight you.
Or let him fuck with it more. That's the
that's
problem.
what you should have. They should have let him fuck with it more. They
Well,
should have let him
Kevin...
go fucking balls deep, get the extra 3 inches that are inside of him out, and fuck it harder.
Yep.
Oh my
All
God.
because Kevin Costner wanted him to let those kids die rather than save them. So it's fine.
Yeah, so I will say
Oh my God.
The host needs to get us in line, but he can't because he wants to.
So I want to fight. I want to fight Nate. I want to be like Ding Dong, punch the face.
Look, I love that you like it. I love that you love it.
You can't give us a secret away, God damn it! That's how it gets taken away by the government.
What now?
Anyway, let us know in the comments below what you think
Hey,
about...
I know that you have superpowers and you could save me from this tornado.
Fucking fight you.
But don't
fight you.
save me.
How
I know
else
that in
is he
other
gonna learn?
shows and stuff, you were a red blur, so no one could see you save me. But don't save me, because in this case you have the power to save me and the responsibility. So with great power comes great responsibility. I'm gonna take a shit on that. Don't save me, and then you're gonna feel bad for the rest of your life about it. But you're gonna grow a sweet beard because you're Superman.
And he was sexy as hell.
He was. Oh God, that's the thing. Henry Cavill, good Lord, with that super chest hair that comes poking out of the top. That man is Superman. He looks like Superman.
He had the
I
bicep,
just
like bump.
like
you got your collarbone, but he had like the outline.
Listen, man, the casting was top notch. I don't have anything to say about that. I'll just say this because I actually because Mike is confusing a little bit. I actually
he
really
refuses
like
to end the show until you compliment.
I do think that he was a bad choice to put all of this in motion. Just saying. I think there's other filmmakers that would have been the way to go. But
Like
that's
Matt
me.
Reeves.
Dude's never made a bad movie. Even that crappy David Schwimmer movie he made in the 90s was actually pretty cool.
Anyway, let us know in the comments below what you think of the Warner Brothers gun ban on action figures and where you stand on it.
Is that what we were talking about?
And also let me know in the comments below if I should fly to Ohio and knock on Nate's door and punch him in the face.
Then if you do that, then I guess I'll have to watch Justice League because...
No, he said he's not going to answer the door.
But if he answers it, then he has to.
Yeah, I have to.
Make sure to check us out, twitch.tv/Modern Toyfare every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wednesday Night Weekly purchases, or catch a video on demand afterwards. I think it stays up for like 2 months now because we have been on there long enough that it feels bad for us. I don't know. Cool. Subscribe here, YouTube. Check out all of our other videos. We have reviews. We have Toy Therapy. We have this. We have top 10 lists. Tons of toy content for you to consume. So make sure to go and check all the backlog. You can follow Jarmar over on twitch.tv/Jarmar_games, where he occasionally streams Apex and maybe some other games. Go give him a follow, and maybe he will, start back up here soon. Also, check him out on YouTube. Look for Why Are You a Gamer? And you can see clips of the video games we play. Plus, you might get to see Season 1 of Why Are You a Gamer, which you can also listen to on all major podcast platforms that you can download. You can also get the audio-only version of the show and Toy Therapy, and even, oddly enough, the top 10 list, just because I'm desperate to put content out there on all your favorite podcast apps. And Nate does not get to make a new podcast this week, so hopefully we'll see you next week's Toy Time, same Toyfare channel.
I had a good one, though.
That's fine. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
It's my new podcast, Sny Dogs. This is where we are actually going to go through Zack Snyder's entire filmography, movie by movie, with the exception of Justice League, because I haven't seen it.
Just to spite Michael.
Because I've seen everything else the man's made. But we will have a special episode about the Joss Whedon cut.
That's where I draw the line. All right. Everyone have a good week. We'll see you next time.
I didn't see that one either.
That's fair.